You know, your insiders, Chris Johnston, Pierre Lebrun, and Darren Dreger. So Corey Perry cleared to return to the NHL by the commissioner, but CJ, still one important piece of business to take care of.
Absolutely, and that pertains to the end of his time in Chicago, with the Blackhawks having terminated his $4 million contract in November. Now, the CBA allows a player 60 days to file a grievance in that kind of matter, which means the decision has to come before the end of this month. And while I do believe the player might be inclined to want to just move forward and not do that, it's an important issue for the NHL Players Association. NHL contracts are supposed to be fully guaranteed. It's traditionally been a very high standard to terminate them, to walk away from a player entirely. Usually it's something involving criminal charges. And because of the nature of the way things ended in Chicago for Perry, it would not surprise me if there's a grievance filed there. So that decision is coming to a head in the very near future, and I would expect that all signs point to a grievance.
Conor McDavid justifiably upset about that long review on Tuesday. Dregs, is there an explanation for it?
Yeah, there is. In fact, hockey operations wanted to see every available angle. The problem was the angle that ultimately determined the overturning of the goal took much longer to gather than they were hoping. The television broadcast didn't supply the replay until much longer than hockey operations had expected. So look, I mean, it comes down to get it right. I mean, if this happened in the playoffs and they got it wrong, it would be a huge controversy in the National Hockey League. Or if they had handled the replay and dealt with it much sooner, and that replay surfaces in the media that they didn't utilize to overturn, then the NHL would have looked silly. So it was worth the wait.
All right, let's get into trade center season. The Canucks continue to be an amazing story, second overall in the National Hockey League. What exactly could they be looking for, Pierre?
Yeah, listen, James, I had a chance to catch up with Jim Rutherford, the president of hockey operations for the Canucks, for a piece coming out tomorrow in The Athletic. But one of the things we touched on, obviously, is the trade deadline. And one of the things that he said is currently what the Canucks are looking at is the idea of potentially adding a top six forward before March 8th. Now, it's worth pointing out it's seven and a half weeks between now and March 8th. Those needs might change, but that was his answer when I asked about an area potentially of need. And should also point out the Canucks have been pretty darn busy. I mean, since mid-September, GM Patrick Allvin has added Casey DeSmith. He's added Sam Lafferty and, of course, Nikita Zadorov. But they are not done. They got a special year going, as you said, and they'd like to add again.
Well, and no different every year. There are teams that are looking for centerman depth in that position, or a top two, top three centerman. No different this year. I'm looking at Colorado. I'm looking at Boston, perhaps the Edmonton Oilers, maybe the Washington Capitals if they stay in the mix leading up to the March 8th trade deadline. 29-year-old Sean Monahan of the Montreal Canadiens is healthy, and he is having a decent year. Now, you got to go back to the offseason when the Canadiens signed the veteran forward. They had an agreement at that point that said, look, we will trade you when the time is right to a contending team or a team of your choice. Nothing has changed there. And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Sean Monahan is among the first forwards to get dealt before the deadline.
William Nylander gets the big extension with Toronto. Pierre, who could be the next pending UFA who gets extended?
Well, the big name right now for sure is Sam Reinhart. He has a shot at a 60-goal season. He's having a career year right at the right time, is Sam Reinhart. But there's also a reality check here in the sense that he plays with the Florida Panthers, a team that's trying to build something with sustainability. They want to take a number of run at being cup contender. And they're also in a no state income tax state. What does that mean? Well, you look at Florida, Tampa, Nashville, Dallas, Vegas. Not a single player on all those teams makes more than $10 million because of that. So, yes, Sam Reinhart on July 1st with another team could be worth $10 to $11 million, but I think it'll end up being a deal under Matthew Tkachuk. And we should mention they haven't really got into the meat of negotiations yet. General discussions, but nothing too serious yet in those conversations.
And some extra cash available for some of the All-Stars, CJ.
Yes, the skills competition, specifically $1 million on the line, and only 12 individuals participating in that game. And the league right now is in the final stages of finalizing the roster of players that will go in there, working with agents, the players themselves, obviously the GMs. 3 big names to keep an eye on that I believe will be in that competition. Nathan MacKinnon, Conor McDavid, and Austin Matthews, 3 of the most dangerous offensive players in the game. Keep an eye out too. William Nylander is expected to get in with the skills competition All-Star Weekend being in Toronto, and so that will be finalized on Saturday. The fans, by the way, will vote on the last 2 skills competition participants after the 10 names are unveiled Saturday night.
Biggest thing is buy-in. If the players buy in and they care, it'll be great.